That's all coming up on this live edition of the Money Show from the Absa CIB headquarters in Sandton.
The Money Show with Bruce Whitfield, now proudly brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking.
That's them sucking up to the boss. Charles Russon is the chief executive of Absa Corporate and Investment Bank of CIB. Tonight's American interest rate decision, that's been done by the Fed at about 8 o'clock South Africa time, is actually probably more important than whatever Lesitsha Kganyago has to say about South Africa tomorrow.
Well, first of all, Bruce, let me say welcome. It's fantastic to have you here.
Why is he buying time? Why is he sucking up? Why is he saying, what is he afraid of? Answer the question, man.
And
nice to have you there.
In terms of the decision making in tomorrow, I think in terms of today's CPI coming out, I think it came in marginally higher than was expected. But actually, I don't think there's any reason personally why there can't be a rate cut. I know the markets are anticipating 60% chance of remaining the same. But I think in terms of what the country needs, and I'm not saying that will solve all our ills, I don't think there's any impediment to moving forward.
Two potential impediments: 4.3% on CPI, being driven higher by food, and of course, after transport and accommodation, food is a big cost for most families in South Africa, and that is a big increase coming through on the food cost. But also the oil price. I mean, just a drone attack in Saudi Arabia over the weekend takes the oil price up 10% overnight, Sunday night, and suddenly the outlook changes. From having a 10 cents a litre cut at the next petrol price announcement, we go to a 50 cents a litre increase potentially, and that does begin to change things a bit, doesn't it?
Absolutely. For the consumer, petrol price increase like that is clearly painful for all of us. But I do think as we look at it, I think you've seen oil coming back down today. I think it closed somewhere around 63 at this present moment in time. I do think the US this evening at 8 o'clock, I think they are, in all likelihood, I think they're going to cut rates.
Now, I was on your trading floor this afternoon. I was given free rein. It was terrifying. I wasn't allowed to touch any buttons, and I can't understand why. I mean, it says buy and sell. It's not that complicated. But I was prevented. I was restrained. And they were talking about even a 50 basis point cut in the United States, and that was causing a little bit of uncertainty. And if the US Fed did that, that would be an admission that the US economy was in serious trouble. And Donald Trump, on the one hand, would have to welcome a big fat interest rate cut, but then would have to admit that his policies aren't working.
Well, I think that would be true. I think some of that might be wishful thinking on part of some of our traders, but I certainly I think there will be a 25 basis point cut with a fairly dovish outlook as we go into the future. I think they've got one eye on the global economy and then clearly the other eye certainly on the US. I don't think it's in the kind of position that you implying there, but I certainly do think we're going to get a 25 basis point cut.
Thank you to Charles Russon. Don't move, Charles. I may need to talk to you again in a moment. Charles is the chief executive at Absa CIB.